live webinar. And we have a very exciting events today. And I'm very excited to welcome Toucan Diversity. Those you do not know Toucan Diversity, we will give an introduction as well as PowerPoint presentation and running a video to know about their work and what they are doing. They are contributing locally in southeast of UK, and they are doing great work. I'm very pleased that I have communication with Anna Mary and Alex, and they have committed to go with this live webinar. So if you have any question about Toucan Diversity or a New Division Business Consortium, feel free to ask us through the comment box. And you are watching this live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and other social media. So I will not get any more delay. So I will welcome Anna Mary. Anna, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you so much. It's a really wonderful opportunity to be here with you. This is the first time for me to be live. Yeah, I hope it will be a success for Toucan. I'm the development director at Toucan Diversity, and I've been involved from the word go. So it was set up by my daughter in 2013, and we have gone through some upheavals, but we're getting there. So yeah, really excited about today. Thank you.
It was a pleasure to know you, Anna Marie, from the early stage that I was doing my in-person events, and you joined in some couple of the events. And from there, our relations was talking and maybe supporting each other, something like that in started. So I'm very much glad that I can present you through my connection or through my followers in LinkedIn and all other social media. So we have another guest, is Alex Foster, and she is the integral part of Toucan Diversity. So Alex, thank you very much for joining today's live.
Thank you very much for the invite, Dr. Shah. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to share the work that Toucan's doing. Wow.
Yes. So today's to everyone. Today we're going to be having a video from Toucan Diversity, and then a short presentation, and we're going to be talking what Toucan is doing to support individuals. So they are supporting individuals with any sort of disability, neurodiversity, and a lot of other things. So I will get into details, but I wanted to request Alex, so if you could share your screen and play the video for our audience to know about Toucan Diversity and what you do.
No problem at all. So I'm just going to head over to YouTube while I share my screen. So bear with me while I do that. Let's see.
Yes. So in the meantime, I can ask Anna Mary, how is your day been so far today?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful day outside. We have been busy. I've met this morning with our chair, and to keep him up to date with stuff. So yeah, we're actually pretty busy. Not that busy with training delivery right now, but with getting the infrastructure right, and with lots of different ideas. I recently have been on the 𝗘𝐃𝐃𝐲 program with the university, so we are working heavily on digitalization and just getting Toucan ready for the next phase, because we were very much stuck in the old ways of Excel and printing and filing. So yeah, we're trying to move away from that, and that's quite a huge job for our small team. But we're getting there. So yeah, I'm very pleased the way how things are going right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to share my screen now. And
yeah, so oh, sorry. Is it working? Is it not? Is it working?
Sorry,
yeah.
Sorry,
guys.
I can
I think you need to do share entire screen and do it on a full screen.
Okay, sure. No
Yeah.
problem.
So we can talk in the meantime.
Yeah.
Alex share
Yeah.
our screen. Yeah, you know,
That's all right.
technology.
I thought I had it up, but yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. Take your time. So you know,
There we
and
go. Is that come through okay now, everyone?
it is. So just let me share my. So just let me share my screen.
Brilliant.
So you can play. You can play.
Sure. Okay, here we go.
So this is the first time for us actually to do this kind of work on a screen. So this is the first time actually to do this kind of work on a screen.
Since early 2020. What I like about Toucan is the fact that it delivers a wide range of training. It's got people that have got real lived disability in the subjects they're living in.
I'm Hannah. I work for the Equality Inclusion team as their support officer at 𝗘𝘃𝗲𝗁 Hospital. I'm here to learn more about how we can support our colleagues at Portsmouth hospitals and make the trust a more inclusive place to work. It was very good. It was really informative. I learned a lot of the correct use of language and how to properly address people, and how to support them with their impairments and not make any assumptions.
I do think organisations are making an effort now to increase diversity and inclusion in their organisations, and I think that reflects, and I think it offers good opportunities to Toucan.
At 𝗘𝘃𝗲𝐃𝐢𝐯𝐶, we work closely with Toucan Diversity to deliver disability awareness training to our 120 staff. Feedback for the training is always positive. I think it's really important that we're trained by trainers who can help us to understand the needs of challenges.
My name is Molly. I work at 𝗘𝘃𝗃 as a service advisor. So I'm here today just to gain more knowledge on disabilities and how they affect people. I found the training really informative. It was nice to hear from people from their own experiences. And yeah, just took a lot away from it.
I think there are lots of companies out there that say they deliver training, but they won't have trainers and people in the organisation and running the organisation with actual lived experience of disability, because we're the ones who know best about what we need.
Thank you, Dr. Shah. So I will come
Would
back
you be able to get
to
would you be able to go?
Yeah. So we are end of the presentation, and we're going to be talking through. So Annie, do we start the conversation first, or you wanted to go for the presentation first?
I think because I mean it seems to be lagging a lot, so maybe we should just talk on what we do and to keep it easier, because it's quite tiring on the eyes, I suppose. Anyway, so we are a disabled people-led organization. So 80% of all the people involved have a lived experience of a disability. So that alone gives us a huge knowledge and you know what organizations need, and also we understand what kind of reasonable adjustments are needed. So inclusion for us means a lot. It is not just a good thing to be inclusive. It's also, it makes business sense to ensure that people are included in the workplaces, you know. So I mean, we are doing lots of different training sessions. So with regards to why people are coming to Toucan, they often have bad reviews. That could be whether TripAdvisor, Google, or at the UN Guide, or sometimes managers saying, you know, my staff don't know how to deal with disabled people. They feel awkward around them. And then obviously we had even a few where people were having lawsuits, you know, because, you know, staff have taken them to court because of discriminations. So, but usually people come to us because they feel they want to do the right thing, and you know, they know there is a law called, you know, the Equality Act 2010. So and you know, and to be compliant. So yeah, and yeah, lots of people do choose Toucan because they understand we are driven. Our purpose is social inclusion for disabled people by disabled people. So that's a really strong statement. And you know, our trainers have all a lived experience of a disability, and that's authentic and that resonates with learners. So for us, it's really important. I mean, that's one of the most important things to have. And we are a CPD accredited training provider. That means we ensure that your team gets high quality training. It's compliant with CPD standards. And that includes also not just the content, but that includes also our trainers. They have a level 3 in education and training as a minimum. Most of them have other degrees as well, and they're very engaging. And it's just listening to their experiences of the daily challenges they face, and it brings it home. It resonates with the people, and they get it. And then, yeah, for us, it's really important to have the social impact study, because as a CIC in general, every year we will have to produce you know, a social impact study, and that is being sent to Companies House with our annual report. So we have been doing this from the word go, but this year we have made it much more how do you call it? We actually have made it in a visual context. So if you're interested in finding out what our social impact was in 2024, go to our website and search for our, you know, impact, and then you will find the report. And it makes fascinating reading, especially because we are a small team. So we have 30 people involved in Toucan diversity, and 24 have a lived experience, as I mentioned. So but we have maybe 7 or 8 who are working day to day on a whole range of different topics, and so amazing people. And we're very lucky to have Alex Foster as our operations manager, and we have an admin support worker. But I mean, you know, the lived experience is key. Our chair has the disability, so and we are very keen to make sure that we have the right kinds of allies involved. So, and it's driven by the lived experience in general. So we're working currently with a whole range of organizations. We're working with 𝗘𝘃𝗲𝐻. We have a great partnership with them. And that really happened from the word go. We're very lucky to use their training suites. And in return, they have their staff attending our training. So we make sure that there is a proper partnership, not just for them doing a great thing for us, but we also want to give back to them. We work with the University of Portsmouth. We have been delivering training to their staff since 2017. I can't believe that's been such a long time now. And we actually recently developed a new course for them. We have had the most amazing relationship with Chichester Cathedral, where we were recommended by the Nobel Museum to them. And it just goes like, it's very much word by mouth. You know, people who had our training, they recommend us to other organizations. Like Brittany Ferry had our training, they recommended us to Conda Ferry. And then we had Chichester Cathedral has recommended us now to VAC, which is the Voluntary Action Group in Arran and Chichester. It's quite a mouthful, but so, I mean, it's just all through recommendations. And
thank you, Annie. I just wanted to add a little bit back. I would say you mentioned that your daughter started these organizations.
Yeah.
Can you tell the viewers, because our viewers always wanted to know the core, you know, why did you set up Toucan Diversity?
Yeah, my daughter, she set it up. So she was the founder, and she experienced discrimination. I mean, I think she was in her second degree when she decided, I mean, she realized between her first and second degree, she went out big time on the job market. And at that time, there was no law to protect you, you know, for instance, with regards to, I mean, it was 2008. So then it was still a must that you had to explain your disability on all the the job descriptions. So she was quite. She did not even get an interview. I mean, she spoke several languages fluent. Yeah, I mean, the only thing, she was a wheelchair user, and obviously also her ethnicity might have worked against. We don't know, but I mean, anyway, she came while she was doing her second degree. She was saying, I think. Then also health issues started actually. So she started then saying that I think I need to do my own opportunity. So that's how it came. So she set up Toucan as Toucan Diversity, and then she, was basically to create her own job, and then also to create job opportunities for others. I got involved from a business point of view. I was at the time the chair of another organization up in Twickenham, 𝗘𝘃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 in social services and other small organizations. But prior to that, my original background is hotel management. I have a Swiss hotel diploma, and I worked up in main senior levels. So, and then when I had my daughter, it opened up a different world to me. You know, it was just, you know, I was suddenly on a different journey in life. Yeah, and that's how it all came. So,
yeah, my connecting question would be, you're delivering token diversity to people in southeast of UK and sometimes all over the UK. So, is your daughter still supporting you, or?
no, she passed away.
Okay, can you tell us what happened?
She passed away during the pandemic. So yeah, and then we just took a decision as the board of directors. I mean, often, I mean, because she was, I think, was after 7 or 8 years. So it was a well-established organization, and we were doing really well in 2020. We were booked throughout the year with training deliveries, all sorts of organizations, and, you know, basically back to back. And then obviously the pandemic happened, like we all knew, you know, and everything was cancelled. And she had been already in hospital, but she passed away in autumn. So yeah,
so you've been nurturing the you know, the dream of your daughters, and I think Alex is an integral part of your business. I wanted to ask Alex a few questions about it. How did you find Toucan? And I know you are converting a huge varieties of organizations, supporting them. So with your experience, what do you think where you are now, when you joined, and your current situation supporting Toucan?
Of course, that's a really great question. So I guess I could start with when I first came across Toucan in, I think it was 2019, wasn't it, Anne-Marie?
yeah.
And I approached you about volunteering because I was really interested in working more in disability advocacy as someone with lived experience of disability. At the time, I was working in museums and heritage, and I found that the jobs market there was obviously very competitive and needed a lot of skills. So I have a couple of degrees in that area, but I found because it was hyper competitive, but also I faced barriers being being a wheelchair user myself as well, that I found that getting stable jobs was pretty difficult in that particular sector. So I thought, what can I do to kind of find an alternative career path? And I decided to kind of look into disability advocacy a bit more, and came across Toucan on LinkedIn. I reached out to you, I think, on LinkedIn, didn't I, Anne-Marie, and asked about volunteering. And soon after that, I joined as a volunteer. So I began to help Toucan with kind of the day-to-day running and the social media and that sort of thing. And then you asked me if I'd be interested in becoming a trainer for Toucan. And to do that, Toucan was able to support me with my level 3 qualification in education and training. And this is something that we ask all our trainers to undertake to make sure that they are accredited. So that's to make sure that they're at a certain standard that's recognised by this qualification to be able to train adults, essentially. So we give all our trainers that really firm basis to work from in terms of how they deliver their training. And that's something that Toucan supported me to do, which was brilliant. And then I decided, obviously, to stay with the team as a freelance trainer. And that all happened during the pandemic. So that was quite a disrupted time while I was undertaking that course. I remember we started it and then we all went into lockdown. So there was a kind of break of about maybe 6 to 9 months or something like that. And then 2021, I got my qualification and kind of started work as a freelance trainer. And the introduction to that was really, I think, really well handled, because it wasn't, oh, you've done it now, off you go, do a 4-hour session. We kind of did it very gently, working with the team. We did it 1 hour at a time, where I'd focus on one particular section of the training and then gradually build up my confidence. And you mentioned about thinking about the difference between how I am now and when I joined Toucan initially, and I think in that time it's been 6 years. It's a very, very long time, and I think I've really grown in confidence. I've been able to develop lots of skills, particularly with delivering training and working with lots of different organizations. There's a lot of analytical thinking, a lot of really collaborative work that goes on in delivering training and producing training as well. And also, I think, obviously, I joined as operations manager. I think it was 2022 now, isn't it? Was it 2023? I can't remember. It's been a couple of years at least since I've taken up that role of operations manager, and that has been a bit of a learning curve as well, because obviously, being such a small organisation, we all have to sort of pull together and kind of spread ourselves across all the different areas that need looking after. So it has definitely been a journey. So, and I definitely think that Toucan's been a real asset in terms of developing my career and my confidence. So yeah,
it's lovely to hear.
Yeah. So, I understand your situations and the way you developed your career. You are supporting Toucan now with an integral parts. I think you also fulfill some of the, hard things, I think, that Anna Mary has faced due to her loss. I totally understand those things. And, without working together, without giving you heart, you do not become integral parts. That's one thing. Another thing, you also have to have a right mindset, because if you do not have a right mindset, it's difficult. I think day before yesterday, I did another live with one of my another events. We were talking about legislation. We were talking about the governments. The governments, they're taking away benefits.
Yeah.
One thing, some of the ministers, they said, okay, they are oversaturating the mental health problems. I don't know how people can do that. Another thing, in this hard time, I faced myself, like Anna Marie said, that her daughter, she could not get an interview or she wasn't selected. I faced it myself. I could not get, even if I was selected for the interview, I was getting that job. Why? I always get, we regret to inform that we get better candidate than you. So I was invited 100% of the interviews, but I was refused by 100% of the interviews. So I created my own world. I created my own businesses, like Anna Marie described earlier. Do you think when you, like in 2015 or 2016 till now, what have changes, or did we shift, or we are still in the same situation? We need to work more. Anna Marie.
I do think I think lots of work needs to be done, especially now with the negative media. It's going backwards in so many ways. And this is what Toucan does. We challenge the bias, and we definitely can see a shift in a mindset. We actually can see it happening in our latter part of the training, because it's all about reasonable adjustments. And on the beginning, when we deliver the training, it's about looking at why, as a non-disabled people, why is it so terrible to be disabled? and yet 80% of disabled people acquire disability later on in life. And it is shocking. I mean, even myself, I've been working in this field now for so many years, nearly 40 years, first as, you know, a parent, and then later on, you know, I've been supporting adults. So, you know, with Toucan, I've learned so much. I knew nothing. And I think parents are often a hindrance, you know, for you know, disabled people to blossom later on in life, because, you know, they want them to be segregated because they feel, which is fair enough, but they obviously, people want to make sure that the children are getting the right education, and they feel that the mainstream are not capable to deliver. So yeah, it's very difficult, you know, all around. But with Toucan, with our training, we do shift mindsets. And we, especially when you have got, you know, the, how do you say, where people are supporting it from the top down. You cannot just, you know, change people's perception within a department. It needs to be strategic, you know, solution from the organization who embarks on our training. And that's what we often have. And we have got the biggest results where the whole company is going through the training. And, you know, the impact is phenomenal, because they really, it's humbling to see how far people are going to get it right, to put the reasonable adjustments in, to get the interviews correct, and, you know, make it as easy as possible for disabled people. And obviously there's a huge push for neurodivergent people to get into jobs, and yet only 30% of them are in any kind of employment. It's a very poor show on our society. It's a shameful show. I mean, that's how I feel. I've been fighting this social injustice for so long. And I think people have got to get behind it, because you know, it can happen to anyone. Disability is not an exclusive club. You know, tomorrow you can be hit by a bus. You can be, you know, cancer can catch up with you, and you end up with a life-changing disability. So I think people need to, you know, I mean, it has never been more urgent than now, with all these different changes, that allies need to come on board. This can affect you, your families, your children, you know, your grandchildren, you know, and disabled people are being treated very you know, it's not fair what's happening right now. So
I totally agree with you, Anna Mary, because before I jump into asking Alex questions, I just want to thank all the viewers that are watching today's live webinar with Toucan Diversity. We're going to be jumping more in detail questions with Anna Mary and as well as Alex. So thank you very much. And if you wanted to share these episodes with your connections, with your friends, with your colleagues, feel free to do that, because every single every single review or every single share of this episode will support Toucan Diversity and NBC together. So you're going to be creating the future of supporting a network with your support. So thank you, Annie. Annie Mary, I just wanted to ask Alex the same questions. Like, okay, you have faced enormous difficulties. I can imagine that, because I also faced those things. And then what I did, later I decided to, okay, I need to finish my study because I'm very good at that. I finished my study, having a PhD. Even having a PhD, I wasn't selected to any workplace. Why? They won't ask me for an interview. And when I went for interview, my interview was like this, okay? I will never perform well on interview. That is my disability. And maybe that's why I wasn't selected anywhere. I'm very good at taking interviews, though. So these kind of things, that there isn't any disability advisor in most of the organization that you see. There isn't any HR manager that they have disability or they understand about neurodiversity. You can't find a specific person. So in that aspect, what do you think, Alex, that we should think? Like Anna Marie said, we need to work more. What do you think about that?
I completely agree. I really think it really helps to have people with lived experience working in these kinds of departments, because they've been the same for so long, for years and years and years, and it's exclusionary. The approaches that people have, if they have a set way of interviewing people and there's no other choices that they give people, it's automatically excluding a lot of people from the opportunity of getting into that job or into that workplace. It's about thinking a little bit wider and kind of thinking more open-mindedly about, okay, so we want this kind of person for the job, but maybe we could ask people to present themselves in a different format. Maybe it might be a video you could make of yourself, for example. It could be instead of not telling people the questions in advance, maybe telling people the questions in advance, no matter if they ask for it, might be more helpful. Just thinking about what things are going to help this person present themselves in the best possible way that they can, and getting the job. There have been mentioned, I think, in recent proposals by the government about work trials, giving work a try before you go in, which I broadly agree with. I think work trials are definitely an option for lots of different people, and that's something we talk about in particular for our training on learning disability into work. Having work trials, allowing the person time to feel settled within that role, to work out what support they do or don't need and how they interact with the team is really important. You won't know that until you're in the team. And
I
so
totally
giving
agree.
people that chance is really, really important. And I think it's just about shifting the mindset from you've got to tick all of these boxes and be exactly right and answer it in exactly this way. And if you don't, you're not the right fit for us. It's very, very short-sighted and very close-minded. And I think the world's a lot. It would be really boring if we had all the same types of people all in certain types of jobs. I think it certainly, I think neurodiversity benefits loads of organisations, and lots of other different perspectives on disability will benefit organisations because, like Anne-Marie said, disability can affect everybody at any time in their life. So it's really important to have that perspective and be truly reflective of a part of the population that makes up 25% of the UK's population. 16 million disabled people in the UK, and not enough of them are represented in these workplaces and in these positions of power.
I totally agree with you, Alex, because when you talk about individual persons, last Tuesday I was doing a live webinar with someone that he's doing his master's and developing 8R framework, and he's himself a disabled person as well as a neurodivergent person. So we were talking about that. But when you think about training, like Toucan Diversity, you invested heavily on training, okay? But there isn't anything done from the government itself, because if you're not aware, there's one thing, that everyone has to be aware about disability, neurodiversity, and all other things. Government, they are not investing enough. Like a company like you, like us, they're not investing to train people. They're not investing to aware people. Okay, that's one thing. But they want to solve the problem. My question to Anna-Marie, can anyone solve problems without proper training or awareness? And the government, they are doing these things. They are talking about getting back all the disabled people to work. I don't think so they will succeed in that without investing on awareness and training. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they don't have any understanding of disability. They don't even understand really how the systems are working at the moment. I mean, there's so much wrong. The access to work system is not working right now for disabled people, because that's meant to be the tool to get equal access for disabled people to get into work. I think, they have to go back, and I think the consultations and the campaigners will succeed in this, we all need to write to our MPs, because this needs to be consulted properly. I know lots of campaigners have been recently in the House of Lords and giving their views on these recent changes or proposed changes. It's a green paper right now, but well, I think in June is the first consultation, so people need to write to the MPs. You need to tell people, every MP, represents you as a constituent. So, you need to tell them that you are not happy the way how disabled people are treated right now. And if you have got any personal experience, tell them a story, because that's what they like to hear. So that's one way of campaigning. Sign petition, do whatever you can, to support disabled people. I mean, that's my take on it. Training, yeah, I mean, there are companies who will do regardless. They will go forward and do the right thing. And they will also employ. I mean, last year, we had over 1,000 people going through our training. And our social impact study shows that 34% are actually actively now, employing disabled people within their organization. And yeah, so these are the first steps. It will take a while, for things to change. But it is the bias, there's the internal bias people are carrying around about disability. And that comes back from culture, from religion, I mean, from all sorts of different angles. Yeah, so those are the issues which we are facing. Till people are tackling them and getting a better understanding that it's not a sin to have a disabled child, that kind of thing. Because I mean, I was put as a Catholic. Yeah, it was a sin. I must have done something wrong in my previous life. And I know from other cultures it's very similar. So these are huge stigmas disabled people carry, and yeah, it's difficult.
I totally agree with you, Anna Mary. And I have another question to Alex now. We just wanted to, we have another 25 minutes and so on. So we wanted to touch the organizational developments in relation with disability and changing our views. So my next question would be to Alex, because you are the operation directors of Toucan Diversity. How do you think that changes in the legislation will support organizations like you or others? Because when you talk about access to work, we talk about PEEPs and we talk about all other things. You know that I do a regular lives on the second week of each calendar month with Anna Bromington. And we talk about disability, we talk about neurodiversity, because she's neurodivergent, I'm also neurodivergent. But the systematic way, the way the access to work form is defined, the way PEEP form is defined, is one form for everyone. That will not suit the purpose of us. Because last week I heard back from the PEEP that I do not qualify for a PEEP. Okay, because the way the questionnaire is designed, I cannot fulfill that, because I'm neurodivergent. I have to be very certain questions ask me, like close. Okay, what do you do? What do that? And this kind of things. Do you think, Alex, in relation with organization and developments, what we need to do now?
It's a very big question, and I certainly think that a lot of the systems that disabled people have to put themselves through in order to access support certainly need reform and aren't fit for purpose. But the answer to that is not cutting them down, because that will just make support even harder to come by and add additional pressure onto disabled people. You described really well some of the barriers that can occur when applying for things like PIP, which I'm sure everyone knows is not a work-related benefit. It's to do with daily living outside of work, and it's to support you with the additional costs of being disabled, which I believe disability charity Scope estimate to be over £1,000 a month now.
Yeah.
And I think, like you say, it's about having something that isn't one size fits all. And I really think that a lot of people do struggle with the way that PIP and access to work are set up. It feels like an absolute burden to have to mentally to have to go through that form and list all the things that you can't do. It's not going to make you feel very good about yourself. It's reinforcing that negative stereotype that disability is all about deficit. It's all about what you can't do. It's about what's wrong with you. And it's just creating this really negative spiral of thought. And it's particularly hard, especially also if you have multiple disabilities or if you're struggling with your mental health. And also, in addition, if you get a no back, it's having to deal with that rejection as well and being told that you're not disabled enough. It's such an odd thing because obviously you know that you need support. You're trying to access it and then you're told, well, actually, you're fine. You can just get on with it. But that's not the solution at all. So I think if these cuts go ahead, then there's going to be a lot of people left in the middle in the group where they're not disabled enough, left without support. And it's a shame to see the underinvestment of access to work leading to, you know, the problems that people are now experiencing, having to wait months and months for support when they start new work, or having that support changed because someone sent them a picture of someone sort of standing up out of their wheelchair and they've decided, oh, well, they can stand up, they're fine, they don't need the support, all these sorts of things. And it just feels like the systems are designed to catch disabled people out. Added to that, the unsettling legislation, the bill that's currently being debated about assisted dying, has also added to a lot of pressure on the disabled community. And I think those things are very much connected. And if you can't see the connections, then I urge you to speak to disabled people about how they feel about it and to get that perspective. But in terms of what we can do, I really think, as Anne-Marie said, it's just about trying to contact people and tell them how this is impacting you personally and the impact that it's having on the community, because that's how we're going to push for change. It is a very difficult and a very big job. It doesn't happen overnight, but collectively, I think if we all work together, we should hopefully be able to make changes.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you very much. So I think to all the viewers, thank you very much for joining today's live webinar. And I think you can be one of our spokesperson. And if you can just speak about ourselves, like we have, as Alex described earlier, that 25% of the population are disabled. Either they are disabled, physical disability, mental disability, or neurodiversity. We are 25% of the population. So this 25% of the population, if we can tailor a methodology, like the government, they are trying to get everyone to the work, maybe we can get 10% of this population. We can leave 15% behind. 10% of the population, they are, disabled people, in some extent, they are very clever, knowledgeable. They suffered so long, so their adaptability of certain things is very improved than a neurotypical person or non-digital person. That's, I can assume, by myself or Alex or Anna-Marie. So in that relation, we have to work more, we understand, but we also need to speak for ourselves, because 10 years back, I applied for PIP, and that what I did not apply for till now. And when I applied this time, I had the same thing, that, okay, you have a doctorate degree and you are thinking that you are disabled and you're capable. So they're saying me that I'm capable, and I scored 0 of everything because I don't understand their system to rightfully answer to my disability to them. Okay, I have needs. I cannot sleep at night. I need specific needs for specific things. But my clever things, or by my knowledge, is not my disability. People always, will misjudge you that, okay, you are a very knowledgeable person like Alex. Oh, you are an operation director, and you are thinking that you need help. You don't need help. So these kind of things, we need to have an attitude shift towards understanding, okay, valuing others, isn't it? So, with token diversity, as we're going to be talking about that more in brief, what struggle do you have, and what barrier you are facing nowadays that you wanted to overcome, and you wanted to let the viewers know, like, okay, few things, maybe 5 things you can mention here, that this is our barriers as a support organization. So if you can consider this, we can maybe support another 1,000 people. Like you said, last year you supported 1,000 people. This year, we wish that you could support another 2,000 people. So what is your barriers, Anna Marie?
I don't get the question. What did you try and?
What is your barrier at the
The
moment?
barrier. Sorry. I mean, obviously, we as a disabled people-led organization, we also deal with external bias, because they will look, oh, this is a disabled people-led organization, so it's been looked down on a little bit too. So we may get that, even with funding, local funding. I mean, we have it. I mean, we have experience in it. It's laughable because, but in general, as a small organization, because now with AI and everything, so there are lots of different things which can be really working for a small organization actually to start, to try further to increase the trading and so yeah. I mean, our main aim is to become one of the leading disability training provider in the UK. So we have a huge, goal out there to work towards. But it just will happen because we have got the most amazing professional disabled people on board. And it will happen, and so it just will take time. So it's just a matter of persuading not to give up, and just there will be challenges on the way, but we get there, and so our infrastructure is well in place. Our marketing, we have a very small team of students from the University of Portsmouth who help Alex with the marketing setup. So we have changed and we have moved on so much. We just this morning we discussed that we had over 10K views over the last months, and that all just shows, it's a gradual thing. It's the same with the website, 10K views there, and then LinkedIn is similar. So, and it's progress, where we had a couple of months ago, maybe 1,000. So it's we're moving in the right direction. So there are barriers, but, and it's also quite a difficult time right now for every organization. There's, it's like there's a stop on employment in general, because there are no jobs. No matter what they're saying, they will try and get people into jobs, but there are barely any jobs, especially for disabled people, because the majority of disabled people would prefer hybrid working, working from home. And there are very little. If you look at the DWP, job posts, there may be only 100 or 200 jobs which are remote, where disabled people actually could do it from home, because it's not just the infrastructure is not there for disabled people to travel. It's only 2% of the transport in London is accessible. So what is that? Come on. I mean, how do you get people actually to move and get them into jobs? There is so much work needs to be done. It's not just yes, working from home is great. That is one of the things which would work for disabled people for sure. But now they're trying to pull everybody back because of it's not good. People need to travel. It needs to be busy. The coffee shops needs to be busy. Everybody needs to be busy. So, but actually for disabled people, hybrid working is the best way. So, and that's been shrunk. Where yes, opportunities are there for disabled people, and that's what governance need to work on, to
Thank
open those kind of opportunities up. Yeah.
So for Alex, as you are the operation directors, so do you have any views on this? How you can extend your reach from local to a nationwide outreach, and as well as if you can discuss any barriers that if you can get supported from the local governments or national governments or from anywhere, will support you to extend more of your work to the people.
Well, scaling up is always very tricky, especially for smaller organisations. But I think we've we are very, very grateful for the amount of volunteers that we have and the hard work that they do. So we're always looking for more volunteers to join us, particularly for things like marketing and things like that. So volunteer support always very welcome. Because that's pretty vital to keep us running, I think, day to day, and it's unbelievable the amount of work that our volunteers do. So that's always fantastic. In terms of other support for scaling up, I think it's difficult because we're often very reliant on funding. That's probably one of our bigger barriers, as Anne-Marie said. There is a bias even within funding as well. We're not always at the top of the pile in terms of what's considered the greatest need for those in charge of funding bids. Funding is an incredibly difficult job, fundraising that is. I know I have a relative who works in fundraising, and the percentages in terms of the amount of bids you send out and the amount that come back successful is always a relatively low percentage. But it's something that we're definitely working on. As Anne-Marie mentioned, we're looking into AI to help us to just have a sort of extra pair of computer eyes to look over our applications and give us pointers to build on what we're doing and kind of really develop the approach that we're taking, and maybe spot things that we might not have considered in our funding applications. So that kind of software that we can use is always very helpful. But I think in terms of the general day-to-day, we are a very, very small team, so expanding the team is going to lead on to getting more trade and more training completed and more awareness, and generally lots more people talking about Toucan. So it is kind of dependent on lots of different things, and hopefully that's explained some of the barriers for you, Dr. Shah.
Thank you very much, Alex. I just wanted to ask a question to Anna-Mary now. Can you share a success stories to our audience today?
Success story, yes. Maybe a case study with one of the organizations we worked with recently, where all the staff went through the training, and we created a sub-website for the staff which were unable to attend because it was a ferry. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say or mention the name, but so because they were working from different ports, and so because we also have an online portal, so people which are all CPD accredited, so people can study in their own time for wherever they are, wherever they're sitting, anytime at night. And also we were working with them on a panel, listening to their customers' negative experiences and find ways, with Toucan and the management together, of how to resolve certain things and issues disabled people face when traveling, using a ferry. We did loads with that particular organization. That was a huge success, because it's humbling to see that people never, the people in charge never stop in trying and finding and improving, the experience for disabled customers. And also for their employees, because it highlights each time when we deliver training that they also have disabled employees. And so it's not just for, the customers, but it's also for the employees the companies employ. So for me, that particular organization that was a real success. We have so many successes that way, where you have got where they have 80 staff and all the staff go through and the training and the way how they work together, because it's amazing, and how they look at how to make changes, as a team. And then they have a proper plan. They build it strategically into their business plan. And I think that will have a snowball effect. So if you can get, more companies to do the same, and there is a company scheme called the Disability Competence Scheme, I think I suggest that companies sign up to that. It's not just a ticking exercise, it's a step in the right direction, to get your company ready to be more, inclusive. And if anything, you will be, legally compliant, within that, because that is so important, because that can cost you money as an organization, just to make that point. But we have lots of success stories, and also a huge success that Toucan is thriving. We have got the most amazing volunteers who are professional project managers, past managers, have MBAs, who are all giving up their time to help and support us as volunteers. So we want to increase our disabled staff. We want to grow our organization, and we are very keen and not to be, because we're disabled led, so we would like to have more disabled people involved, professional preferably, but we're also very keen to develop people. And we don't always get it right, because it's not always easy to be accessible to all. And so we learn. It's a journey. It's definitely a journey, and it is a journey for any company or who embarks on our training as well. So
Thank you, Annie-Mary, thank you very much for sharing your success story. So we are nearly end of our session. So to everyone, thank you very much for joining today's live webinar, and we will have another event in the 1st of May. Let me check the dates if I am not being wrong. Yes, so we will have a 1st of May again, talking to Annie-Mary and Alex. We're going to be talking on reasonable adjustment, access to work, and all other things that we can tailor the methodology for you. So keep an eye. The events will be posted this week. So we have a month for you to register for the events. And I just wanted to ask you, Annie, in 1 minute, takeaways, what you want our audience today to take away from this webinar. And later, Alex, if you could add the takeaways.
Yeah, if you got anything out of today's session, I think we had some technical issues. We had a wonderful presentation prepared, but it didn't. We thought just to talk. And if you, as an organization, want to find out more about Toucan, please get in touch with us. It's Toucan Diversity, toucan-diversity.org.uk. We would love to talk to you and showcase our work. You will be really impressed, like all the organizations who have worked with us are impressed. So we would love to hear from you. So and thank you so much for, I have no idea how many people were in this call, but thank you so much for coming in and listening to us, especially to endure my German accent, which is a long length of time. Sorry.
And Alex, if you wanted to add takeaway.
Of course, just added, if there are any disabled people watching who are resonating with a lot of what we've said and feel angry about what's happening with the government, and maybe feel stuck in their workplace, that their workplace could do more for them in terms of making their working life more inclusive and accessible, then we can help with that as well. And our training is very bespoke as well, so we can work with your organization specifically to talk about the issues that are coming up for you or for your customers, and we do pride ourselves on our bespoke approach, and we think it really does get results as well. So if it's something that's piqued your interest, just get in touch with us. As Anne-Marie said, you can visit our website, you can drop us an email, and we'll be happy to have a chat with you about what we can do to help.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Annie-Mary. So to everyone, you're watching this live or maybe later on replay, because you can watch the replay later on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and all other social channels. So it's a great pleasure today to talk to you, Annie-Mary and Alex, and we will have another session on 1st of May, and we will add the events this week or beginning of next week. So please do register and share. Just one request to you, humble request. Please share these events with your colleagues, friends, your children, and whoever you can, because a simple sharing these events will create the future opportunity. Like Alex said, Anna-Marie said, that we are creating the future with disabled people. So it doesn't matter what is your disability, doesn't matter you can do or you can't do. The training and development will give you the the future that you are looking for. So thank you, everyone. And I will welcome you next episode of our NBC Live. Please share this and support our work. And bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.